Hey folks, welcome to Wolfman's Gaming Den. Today we're unboxing the game Maharaja by Wolfgang Kramer and Michael Kiesling, published by Cranio Creations. Now, Maharaja is not a new game. It's this is sort of like a reprint slash updated version of a somewhat older, somewhat classic game, Maharaja, as well, by the same designers in question. So it is definitely a game a lot of gamers have played in the past. They've enjoyed quite a bit, and this is the Kickstarter reprint of that done by Cranio, and this is the version that's being delivered out to the backers right now, or sort of like in the current time window. These are also the Kickstarter extra content that came with the game box itself. When we sort of crack into this, we'll also have a look at what's in here as well. I'd also had a few add-ins with my Kickstarter copy. So there's a bunch of bags that we'll have a look at, as well as some metal coins that came with the game as well. So without further ado, let's start by cracking into the main box and seeing what's inside. Now, the first thing obviously that you can make out is there's definitely quite a bit of striking artwork on the front cover of the box itself, and it is a wide format. This is not your standard ticket to ride size box by any means, which is fine by me, but obviously that's something that may be a consideration to you. Artwork, generally, I do like on this one. Now, this game has received some negative press recently for some of the components that come in the box. So as we're going through this, we'll have a look at some of those as well. Flipping it over, this gives you a quick sense of sort of like the board, the play area that comes in it. There are quite a few 3D pieces by the look of things, and we do expect quite a bit of plastic in there. So we'll see what sort of comes in the box. Now, the game is designed for 1 to 4 players, so there's going to be a solo mode in here as well, and expected to be played in roughly 90 minutes. So, right, without further ado, let's crack into it and see what's inside Maharaja. All right, so first things first, the artwork on the box itself. Now, obviously, this does tend to be more subjective, but I mean, generally, I'm okay with this. There's definitely a strong blue theme going on in here, but you can definitely make out sort of like the Indian inspired artwork on the box itself, with the sort of like a goddess up here, and then I believe this is a god figure perhaps, and then a whole bunch of statues with sort of like the palace in the background, and the king perhaps being taken in there. So it's a striking box cover. I definitely like the color scheme as well. Let's open it up. Now the texture, I will just quickly call out, it's a thick box, so it's hopefully going to hold up well as you sort of like move things around and whatnot. So the first thing we get to see is the rule book itself. So let's start by cracking into it. On the backside, obviously, there is striking artwork with some of the gods or deities in there. Components. So this gives you an overview of what you can get in the standard game box. There's going to be player boards, action discs, and some additional components for the solo version. So we'll keep an eye out for those as well. We can see sort of like how the setup works. Again, it looks to be explained in a good level of detail, as well as a good flow with the different numbered sequences and items listed out together. Always helpful, especially when you're playing your first game. Important rules to consider. Gameplay, so you have the different phases. You have the Maharaja phase, planning phase, action phase, actions you can take, city scoring, end of round phase. And then you have the end of the game. Now, I have played this before while it was still on Kickstarter. I played the online implementation that they had for this one. And the rules are relatively easy to sort of like get into as well. The final rule book was not available then, so I'm not sure how easy it is to go through this itself. But we'll figure that out when we get to it. And it looks like there's a Brahmabot, which is sort of like your solo mode designed by David Turchi and Simone Luciani. So David, who's also, quite well known for sort of like designing solo modes for a lot of famous games, definitely has a hand in here as well. There's a setup for 2-player details in here too. Looks like there's some gameplay changes if you're playing all of those. And then of course you have thanks to all the backers in very, 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 very teeny tiny font. I'm just assuming it's not going to be easy to make out, so I'm not even going to bother. But my name should be in there somewhere, thankfully. Right, so aesthetically, pretty decent rulebook. I'll reserve my comment on the actual contents for later on, but from an artistic point of view, I'm happy with it. No major complaints from me on that one. Next up, we get to see a bunch of these cardboard tiles. So let's see what these guys look like. Thickness for this is not bad. Not very thick, but it's not bad. This should hold up well, unless I'm really forcing it to bend apart. These are the points tokens. Obviously they come in a bit of a funky shape, but they're punching out well enough. No issues there either. And then same goes for these. So cardboard overall, it looks like it's going to be pretty standard. And then we have more of these. These are sort of like special player abilities that you can have over the course of the game yourself. Now this is the action wheel that you will select your actions from, and this is one of the pieces that actually had a bit of criticism from some of the other reviewers out in the industry, in the sense that apparently these do not hold on quite strongly, and they fidget around or rotate around as you move this. So we'll see how that looks like. Maybe we'll put up a shot of this completed at the end of this video, so keep an eye out for that. So we'll see how well that works. These are some of the scoring tiles. So these are some of the standard ones that come in the game. It looks like there's a bunch that came with the Kickstarter extra stuff as well. These tell you sort of like the sequence in which the cities get scored. They go on one section of the board, if I remember correctly. More of the player wheels, more of the money markers. I forget what these are, but that's there. Then you have these pieces over here. I mean, everything from a cardboard perspective, no major issues. Again, the concern being with the shape of the wheel and how these marker things rotate around those. So we'll keep an eye out for that. Yeah. Everything's punching out well, so I'm not going to spend too much more time on that. Next up, we have the board, and as the back of the box told us, this is meant to be quite a large size board, so we'll come into this at the very end. Obviously, it looks like this is not double-sided. It has artwork on the back end, and then the game on the other side, but we'll see what's happening there at the end. These, I believe, are the player boards. And I think these just punch out directly, do they? I think it does. Yeah, so on the back end, you get to see some nice, lovely artwork. Again, it's the same artwork that's repeating with a lot of these different components, but better, I guess, than having just a bland black background or something similar. Now, one of the criticisms was that this does not match the circular shape of the wheel. So let's maybe bring that out and see how that fits in. Yeah, and as you can see, there's definitely a bit of a gap between those two. So not a game-breaking issue, but it's a little weird. I mean, it could have easily been made to be the same shape, and it's just weird that it wasn't. So that's that. Yeah, but otherwise, cardboard quality is still decent. So we'll keep moving on, and these are just for the other 3-player count. So they're basically the same thing, same artwork, design, and whatnot. These are sort of like how you put those clock hands on the wheels. A bunch of player pieces in different colors. So let's have a look at these. Now, another criticism against the production quality of this was on the player pieces, on these plastic pieces, that they tended to look a little on the cheaper side. So I'm interested to see sort of like how that holds up. And these are meant to be in different shape, because some of these are villages, some of these represent priests, some represent statues you're building. Yeah, so overall, I don't mind these quite as much. For me, they're all right. They're, neither here nor there. I'm not going to say that these are great components, because they do feel a little on the lighter end as well. But I'm not going to say that these are, they look bad to me either. The level of detail on this is not bad, but because it's just a plain single color, a lot of it's just blending in and you can't really make it out apart. So there we go. This is focusing in now, and you can't really make it out apart. If you do have some paint at home or a wash, you can just put a little bit of wash on these, and this will help bring out a lot of that detail for these pieces. So yeah, so that's there. So it's basically the same design on the different colors. And then is there anything in this one? Not really all that much. There we go. So I'm okay with it, but again, I can see why some folks may not be quite as happy with it. But it's I guess it's a matter of personal taste. This, if I'm not mistaken, is the first player token. Good level of detail in here. Again, a little bit of wash will really help bring that out. But as it is, it may be a little hard to tell apart. And again, it's a nice big chunky piece, so it's not all that bad. I don't really mind it quite as much. Let's put this to the side. And we have some Ziploc bags, so we don't need to worry too much about that. And then we have, of course, these larger, I think these are the statue pieces that you're looking to build out on the board itself. So let's crack into this and see what we have here. And I assume that these are going to be the same design. Oh no, these are actually different designs. So maybe, are these, or maybe just two sides? Nope, these are actually different designs on the different statues. So let's maybe bring out one of each of these and have a look, see it together. So we have the green out. Now we have a blue one. Let's get a red one as well. And last but not the least, a yellow one. All right, so let's start with this because we already have this in our hand. Not a huge fan of the shade of yellow that's going on in here, but that's all right, that's fine. But again, the level of detail on the engraving is not bad. And again, I can, the more I look at this, I can see again where some of that criticism came in, because this almost feels or looks like a bar of soap that's in there. But I think that's just simply because of that plain color, as it were. A little bit of wash really will go a long way with these things. And yeah. But again, engraving quality is not bad. So it's not all bad. It just feels like a bit of a missed opportunity. Because it looks like there definitely is or has been an effort made on the art for these. Would just be nice to have more people make out the details and appreciate those, as it were. Right, so there we go. So these are all actually a different artwork on the 4 different larger statue pieces, as it were. They feel decent enough. It's, again, not heavy. You're not going to confuse these for metal or stronger, harder materials or heavier materials by any means. These are definitely plastic, but they're all right. But again, looks a little plain and simple, but I'm not as unhappy with these, as it were, because I'm thinking that perhaps I'm just going to put a little bit of wash on these things, and the level of detail should come out quite nicely on these, right? And of course, we have an insert at the very bottom. I'm not sure how functional the insert is. I'm not going to be able to test it out for the purposes of this video, but if you're curious on finding out, leave a comment down below. And once I'm able to sort of like rebox all of this in, I'm happy to share my thoughts on that as well. So without further ado, let's move all of these aside and let's come back and have a look at the player board and the Kickstarter extras. All right, so we have the main game board itself over here. So let's start by laying it out and seeing what it looks like, basically. And it's definitely a full-size board. This is not a small one. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't tear anything as I unfold this out. Oops, I'm already shifting the camera around. That's not good. But yeah, so hopefully, as you can make out, this is definitely a fairly large sized board as it is. In fact, let me just see if I can move the camera position up a little bit. Maybe that will give a better view of this. There we go. Doesn't cover everything, but still a better view, as it were. And yeah, so definitely sort of like a large size board. The Quality of the art on it is good as well. This definitely has a bit of a texture on it too. And this is where you can have some of the scoring component pieces, updated tiles put on here to score differently. Yeah, generally, I like it. It's definitely going to take up quite a bit of real estate on the game board itself. And I'm just going to move this around so that you can see the size. And then, of course, on the back end, as I mentioned earlier, you have the artwork that we have seen in the rest of the game. But the game board, I'm happy with this. No complaints from me. Level of detail going on some of these pieces is not bad. Let me see if I can maybe bring this a little bit closer to the camera so that you guys can make out as well. Oops, don't. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so you can see sort of like there's a good level of detail with some of the cities and the towns and the different locations and whatnot. So not bad, not bad. I'm happy with the game board. Although the size and the cut of it does seem to be a little bit iffy. If you can, I don't know if you can make it out or not. This is funny. I don't know if you can make it out or not, but as you can see, these should align together in a straight line because this is where the game board ends, and they're not equal. This is a little bit longer than this, so that's tiny bit unfortunate, really. Yeah, I did not see that in the other videos, but it's definitely there, and it's quite pronounced. So it's oh well. Hopefully, I'm not focused too much on it as I'm whenever I bring the game out for a game night or whatnot. But that's there. So that's the game board. Let me bring the camera down so that we can have a look at the rest of the components. All right, and we're back. So let's start by looking at the exclusive Kickstarter content that came with the game box itself. So this gives you a quick overview of what you can expect in there. So it says that you get 4 character tiles, 4 special rules tiles, 4 final scoring tiles, and 2 reward tiles, which are specific to the Kickstarter version, which you would not have in the regular game. So without further ado, let's crack into it and see what they look like. So these are examples of some of the scoring tiles, which are a little bit more unique, that come on the side. These are the character tiles, I assume. So again, stuff that gives you unique abilities over the course of the game. Artwork on these, and we didn't stop to focus on the main game box itself, but the quality of the artwork it's all right. It's not bad. I'm happy with these. And then we have this last piece of cardboard over here. Yeah, and then you have these, and then I'm not going to go through and punch all of these, but that's basically all the extra stuff you get in the Kickstarter version if you do. But otherwise, again, judging by how it's been explained, the rest of the stuff we saw in the box, it looks like you should be able to get it with any retail copy of the game itself. Whereas if you got the Kickstarter version, you would get these couple of extra pieces of cardboard that will give you some of these extra tiles for the game itself. Now let's move these aside and bring out some of the add-ons that I had for the game itself. Now, for the add-ons, I did get 4 bags. And here you can see sort of like the different artwork for the different colors show in there. And these are the different artworks that we had on those statue tiles as well. So you can see them in a little bit more detail. So as you can see, there's a good level of detail on it, and it's the same level of the detail that we saw in those statue tiles as well. It's just too bad that they didn't really have that wash that would bring those out. Other than that, quality of the bag, it's cloth, and the cloth material is thick. The only concern that, well, actually this is interesting because so it feels like quite a deep bag. There's definitely space that goes underneath it, but do I have space to put my hand inside? Absolutely not. So if you're looking to reach in to pull things out, I mean, my hands are not massive. I mean, I know they're not thin, but they're not massive. I can't really even get close to it. And unless you have like really small hands, I don't think you can either. So this is definitely, yeah, I mean, I wish this were maybe not quite as deep and a little bit wider perhaps, but there you go. That's the 4 different bag. And the color on these, again, not bad. No complaints from me. And the metal coins at the end. So let's have a look at these and see what's happening with these. So it looks like they come in denominations of 5, 1, and 10. So let's maybe separate these out and look at them individually again. So they do have different colors, so hopefully as you're playing these out you should be able to tell them apart by color as well. They also have different artwork on it, so that's good. And there's different artwork on the back as well. I wish there were different sizes too. Yeah, but other than that, they feel good. They're chunky. I mean, I'm a huge fan of metal coins, and these do not seem to disappoint in that. Having them in different colors and with different sort of like designs is good. I do wish that they were different sized too, just so that you could. It just made it easier for you to tell them apart at a glance rather than sort of like you staring at them for a while, as it were. A quick cut here to have a look at these action tiles. And as I'd mentioned earlier in the video, there were some criticism leveled against it that these were, not quite as sturdy, that they moved around quite significantly. So I've just put one as an example just to see for myself if that is the case. And it's a bit of a mixed feeling because first of all, so they are loose. They're not really that strong. It is possible for these to shift around a little bit, as it were. As you can see, if I'm shaking this around, it does move somewhat. But it's not all that loose either. So it's not like if I flip it over and then flip it back up, they've shifted positions in the other way or anything of that sort. So keep that in mind. It's not great, it's not perfect, but it's not as bad as I anticipated it might have been. But the shape is still a bit of a disconnect with the rest of the playboard. And that's the update on the action wheel. Otherwise, that's pretty much what you get in the box for Maharaja. I'll post a sort of like a quick separate clip on how those player wheels come together at the very end of this. But in the meanwhile, because I'm just shooting this in sequence, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any thoughts, comments, suggestions, leave them down below. I'll get to them as soon as I can. And if you did enjoy the video, do give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you at the next one. Take care.